While touching up her makeup, my girlfriend looked over and casually said, "At the party tonight, just act like you're not with me." I stared at her, confused, but after a moment, I simply answered, "All right." I drove her to the party, then turned around and headed back home by myself. Once I got there, I packed up my things and walked away from the place we shared. About 6 hours later, a message popped up from one of her friends. It read, "Do you have any idea what happened at the party?" I responded, "No. What happened?" The answer I received next left me absolutely stunned. "My name is Andrew. I'm 29 years old, and I work as a network security consultant for medium-sized businesses around Seattle. The job is steady, pays well enough, and while it's nothing flashy, it gives me a comfortable life. I've been dating my girlfriend Lauren for 3 years. We first met in a coffee shop downtown where she was working part-time while finishing her business degree. She was funny, driven, attractive, and had this natural energy that made people gravitate toward her. Around a year and a half ago, we moved in together. Our relationship wasn't flawless, but I honestly believed we had something strong. That Friday evening began like any other. Lauren had been talking nonstop about this party for nearly 2 weeks. Her college friend Brittany was hosting it in an upscale loft over in Capitol Hill. She seemed unusually excited and kept mentioning how everyone she knew would be there. I didn't think much about it. Lately, she'd been putting more effort into her appearance, buying new outfits, and spending extra time getting ready. I assumed she just wanted to impress her old friends. At around 7:30, she was in the bathroom putting on her makeup while I stood in the bedroom changing into jeans and a button-down shirt, thinking I'd looked decent enough. That's when she called out, "Hey, Andrew." Her tone was completely casual, like she was reminding me to pick something up from the store. "Yeah?" I answered. "Tonight at the party, could you just act like we're not together?" I froze halfway through buttoning my shirt. "Excuse me?" She stepped out of the bathroom, eyeliner still in her hand. "I mean, don't act all couple-ish. We can just socialize separately. It'll make things more fun." I looked at her in disbelief. She was wearing a tight black dress I'd never seen before, and her hair was styled in soft waves. She looked incredible, but the way she said those words made my stomach sink. "You want me to pretend I'm not your boyfriend?" I asked. "It's not like that," she replied as she turned back toward the mirror. "I just don't want things to get awkward. Some of my friends don't really know about us, and I'd rather avoid making it weird." "Lauren, we've been together for 3 years. We live together." "I know," she said quietly, still focused on her reflection. "Just trust me, okay? It's easier this way." I stood there in silence for nearly half a minute. 1,000 different reactions ran through my mind. Every part of me wanted to argue, demand answers, and ask what was really going on. But something else, maybe pride or maybe just exhaustion, made me choose differently. "Okay," I said softly. She looked at me through the mirror, surprised. "Seriously?" "Yeah, no problem." About 20 minutes later, I parked outside the loft building. Music echoed from somewhere above us. Lauren checked her phone, fixed her lipstick one last time, and reached for the door. "Thanks for the ride," she said, sounding more like I was her driver than her boyfriend. "Enjoy yourself," I replied. She paused briefly, perhaps sensing something strange in my voice, but then she smiled and stepped out. I watched her head toward the entrance while scrolling on her phone. A few moments later, the doors closed behind her. I remained in the car for a minute, both hands gripping the steering wheel while the engine hummed quietly. Then I shifted into drive and went back home. Update number 1. The apartment felt completely different the moment I walked in by myself. Too quiet. I stood in the kitchen for nearly 5 minutes, just staring and thinking. Eventually, I walked into the bedroom and reached into the closet for my old duffel bag. I'm not the type to make reckless decisions. I work in network security. I analyze systems, identify weak points, and fix problems. I always think before I act. But as I stood there holding that bag, something clicked. This wasn't really about one stupid party. It was the result of 100 little things I'd been choosing to overlook. The way she'd started pulling away whenever I tried holding her hand in public, how she'd stopped posting photos of us online, the vague responses whenever I asked how her day had gone. I began packing. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop, important paperwork. I handled everything methodically. It took me about an hour. I left behind most of the furniture. It belonged to her anyway, or rather had mostly been paid for by her parents when we moved in together. Before leaving, I wrote a note and placed it on the kitchen counter. You wanted to pretend we weren't together. Now you don't have to pretend anymore. Take care of yourself. By 10:30 that night, I had checked into a Holiday Inn near the airport. I texted my friend Connor and told him I might need to sleep on his couch for a while. He answered within minutes. Dude, what happened? Call me. But I never called. I just sat on the hotel bed staring at my phone, watching the battery percentage slowly fall from 47 to 44, then down to 39. No texts from Lauren, nothing at all. Around 1:15 in the morning, my phone finally vibrated. Unknown number. I answered. Andrew? It was a woman. Her voice sounded nervous and slightly drunk. Who is this? It's Brittany, Lauren's friend. I'm still at the party. My heart immediately started racing. What's wrong? Is she okay? She's okay physically, but there's something you need to hear. I sat upright. What happened? There was this guy here named Travis. He's some wealthy tech startup founder. Drives a Porsche and acts like he's king of the world. Apparently, Lauren has been talking to him for almost 2 months. I honestly didn't know. I swear. My roommate only told me tonight. Lauren invited him to the party, and Andrew, she was all over him. Like really all over him. My mouth went dry. Okay, but here's the worst part. About an hour ago, Travis got completely drunk and started showing off. He was bragging to everyone about the arrangement he had with Lauren, saying she was basically trying out to become his girlfriend because he told her he wanted someone fun and low maintenance who wouldn't interfere with his lifestyle. He said she'd been trying hard to prove she wasn't clingy. I couldn't even find the words. Brittany kept talking, her voice trembling. Then he said something about how Lauren had told him she still had some dead weight she needed to get rid of before things could become serious. Andrew, everyone heard it. People started asking where you were, and Lauren suddenly went white. Someone asked where her boyfriend had gone, and Travis just laughed and said, "What boyfriend?" That's when Lauren started backtracking and claimed you were only her roommate, but everyone knows you two live together. The entire atmosphere became painfully awkward almost instantly. Where is she now? I finally managed to ask. She locked herself in the bathroom. She's been in there for almost 20 minutes. She keeps texting somebody, probably you. I thought you deserved to know what kind of person she was being tonight. Thanks, Brittany. And I'm sorry, Andrew. I really am. Then she hung up. I glanced down at my phone. Still nothing from Lauren. I switched it off and went to sleep. Update 2. Saturday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. Around 7 o'clock, I finally turned my phone back on. Most of them were from Lauren, starting around 1:45 in the morning and continuing until 5:30. Where are you? Andrew, this isn't funny. Pick up your phone. I came home and your things are gone. What the hell? Did you seriously leave? Over nothing? You're being so childish right now. Call me back. We need to talk about this. As I kept reading, the messages became more and more desperate, then angry, and then desperate again. The final one, sent at 5:28 in the morning, simply said, "Please." There were also 3 texts from her mom, 2 from her sister, and 1 from Connor. Lauren showed up here at 6 in the morning crying. I didn't let her inside. Told her I had no idea where you were. Want me to keep it that way? I replied to Connor. Yeah, thanks, man. Then I blocked Lauren's number. I blocked her on Instagram, Facebook, everything. I spent the rest of the day searching for apartments online. By Sunday afternoon, I'd signed a lease for a small 1-bedroom place in Fremont. It cost more than I wanted, but it was available immediately. That same evening, I moved in with nothing but my duffel bag and an air mattress Connor had lent me. Monday morning, I went to work like it was any other day. My boss noticed I looked exhausted, but he didn't ask questions. I buried myself in a new project configuring firewalls for a medical office. Honestly, it felt good to focus on something real and concrete. Tuesday evening, Brittany called me again. I know you probably don't want to hear from anyone right now, she began, but I thought you should know Lauren's been telling people you left because you were controlling and jealous. I actually laughed. Of course she was. It's not really working the way she expected, Brittany continued. A lot of people saw how she acted Friday night, and apparently Travis has been avoiding her calls. Guess he's not interested in someone who got exposed as a liar in front of everyone. Good for him, I said, and I genuinely meant it. There's one more thing. Brittany's voice suddenly became hesitant. She's been posting weird cryptic stuff online, things about toxic relationships and finally being free. I just thought you should know. I deleted social media, but thanks for the warning. You're handling this surprisingly well, Brittany said softly. Am I? I sat there, staring across my empty apartment. Briefly, he stayed quiet before answering. Honestly, I don't know. I just feel empty. Then he let out a small sigh. I guess that's still better than whatever she's putting herself through. After a pause, he added, and for what it's worth, I'm sorry I was the one who introduced you to. I shook my head. None of this is on you. You had no way of knowing. Once the call ended, I sat alone on my air mattress and, for the first time since Friday, I finally stopped trying to hold everything in. The betrayal, the humiliation, the anger, I let it all hit me at once. Later that night, I ordered a pizza and spent hours watching old episodes of The Office until exhaustion eventually took over and I drifted off to sleep. About 3 weeks later, Connor invited me over for a barbecue at his place. I almost turned him down, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. Come on, man, you need to get out of the apartment and be around people again. Besides, my girlfriend's bringing one of her coworkers, and apparently she's pretty cool. Her name was Harper. She worked as a graphic designer, had short auburn hair, and a sarcastic sense of humor that made conversations effortless. We ended up talking about completely random things, favorite pizza toppings, the worst movies we'd ever watched, and even debating whether hot dogs counted as sandwiches. Everything about it felt simple and easy. Eventually, she smiled and said, Connor mentioned that you recently went through a breakup. I laughed softly. Of course he did. Subtle as always, she smiled back. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. No, it's okay, I replied. 3 years together, and then it all ended pretty suddenly. Without missing a beat, Harper said, her loss. The moment the words left her mouth, she looked embarrassed. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that. I smiled. No, honestly, I appreciate it. Before the night ended, we exchanged numbers and texted a few times during the week. Nothing serious or romantic, just casual conversations between two people getting to know each other. And honestly, it felt refreshing to talk to someone without all the baggage of years of history attached to every word. Through Connor, I also learned that Lauren had been calling mutual friends, trying to figure out where I was staying. He made sure everyone kept their mouths shut. Apparently, she'd even driven past his house twice, hoping to spot my car. One evening over beers, Connor mentioned something else. She even called Sarah, my girlfriend, asking if she knew where you were. He chuckled. Sarah told her to leave you alone. I nodded. Seriously, I appreciate you guys having my back. Connor raised his drink slightly. That's what friends are for. Then he studied me for a second before saying, You seem better these days. Less like a zombie anyway. I smiled faintly. Yeah, I'm getting there. But the truth was, Lauren still occupied my thoughts far more than I wanted to admit. Not because I missed her, but because I kept trying to understand everything. I wondered how I'd missed all the warning signs. I wondered when she stopped caring. I wondered if there had ever been a moment where I could have changed the outcome, or if I had always been nothing more than the dead weight she eventually decided she needed to throw away. Then, one Friday near the end of November, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Andrew? It was Michelle, Lauren's sister. Hey, Michelle. She hesitated before speaking. I know you probably don't want to hear from anyone in our family, but I felt like I needed to call. Lauren told Mom and Dad that you left her because you'd found somebody else. She said you were cheating on her, and that's why you moved out so quickly. I closed my eyes. Of course she had. But Michelle quickly continued. I don't believe her, Andrew. I know my sister. I've watched her lie her way out of trouble since we were kids. I just wanted you to know that I know the truth, or at least I know her story doesn't explain everything. I exhaled slowly. Thanks, Michelle. That really means a lot. After a moment, she quietly added, For what it's worth, she's miserable. She'll never admit it, but she is. She thought this guy Travis was going to sweep her off her feet and give her the glamorous life she'd been dreaming about. But after that party, he completely disappeared. Now she's stuck in an apartment she can barely afford without your share of the rent, and everyone who attended that party knows exactly what she did. Hearing that didn't make me feel victorious. Honestly, it just made me sad. I hope she manages to figure things out. You're a better person than I am. I hope she doesn't. Michelle paused for a second. Take care of yourself, Andrew. You too. Final update. It's been 4 months now, and I'm writing this from my apartment in Fremont. I finally bought a proper bed, picked up some furniture from IKEA, and hung a few posters on the walls. It's slowly starting to feel like home. Harper and I have gone out a few times. Nothing too serious yet, but we're taking things one step at a time. She knows the basic story of what happened with Lauren, but I don't spend much time talking about it. We have better things to focus on. Through Brittany, who's actually become a genuine friend through all of this, I found out that Lauren moved back in with her parents in January. She couldn't keep up with the apartment on her own, and her credit cards were completely maxed out from all the clothes and lifestyle upgrades she'd bought while trying to impress Travis. Apparently, she's working retail now. Last I heard, her Instagram account was private. I don't hate her. I really don't. In a strange way, I'm actually grateful. That night, the party I wasn't even supposed to attend as her boyfriend gave me the clarity I'd been avoiding for months, maybe even years. I'd stayed comfortable in a relationship that had already died quietly, too scared of being alone to admit what had been right in front of me all along. Last week, I received a letter in the mail, real physical mail, forwarded from Connor's address. I recognized Lauren's handwriting immediately. I let it sit for 2 days before finally opening it. Inside was a single page, written front and back, apologizing for everything. She called herself selfish and admitted she'd become obsessed with the idea of something better and lost sight of what truly mattered. She said Travis made her feel exciting and important in a way she couldn't explain, and she'd convinced herself that meant something real. She acknowledged how badly she'd hurt me and said she hoped that someday I could forgive her. I read the letter twice and then placed it inside my desk drawer. Maybe I'll answer someday. Maybe I won't. Last night, Connor asked me if I felt like I'd finally gotten closure. I told him I didn't need it. Closure is overrated. Sometimes things simply end and you move on, and that's enough. I'm doing okay. Actually, better than okay. I've started running again, something I stopped doing when Lauren and I moved in together because she thought it was boring. I've been reading more, sleeping better, and laughing more easily. I don't constantly check my phone anymore. The strange thing is, I don't even feel angry. That first night, while driving home after dropping her off at that party, something shifted inside me. It wasn't rage, and it wasn't sadness. It was just a calm certainty that I deserved better. And that feeling never went away. So when she told me, at the party, act like you're not with me, I really took those words to heart, and I haven't looked back since. Edit 1. A lot of people asked about the legal situation involving the apartment. Since my name wasn't on the lease, I wasn't responsible for anything. Lauren had insisted on being the primary tenant when we moved in because her parents were co-signing. In the end, that worked out in my favor. Edit 2. Yes, I still have the note I left on the counter. I took a picture of it before I walked out. Sometimes I look at it and feel proud of myself for leaving when I did. Edit 3. Harper and I are still taking things slowly, but it's been good, really good. She's patient with my trust issues and never pressures me. That's all I'll say about that for now.